Welcome back. Still tuned in to News and Views of myself, Salalo Makwedir. The time is 9 a.m. on the dot Central African time, and we're going to be switching gears a bit closer to home. We've been crisscrossing the globe in recent days, and with the recent interviews that we've been doing, covering everything from Israel's escalation in Iran to Trump's crumbling peace promises. But here in South Africa, the political drama is just as explosive and perhaps even more personal for the ANC. ANC Youth League President Colin Malachi has publicly dismissed Floyd Shivambu as a small boy with no political base, saying bluntly the ANC hates him and no one cares about him. This follows Shivambu's dramatic removal from the MK party's top ranks by Jacob Zuma himself over an unsanctioned trip to Malawi, or what is touted to be, that unsanctioned trip to Malawi. A lot of people thinking and believing there's more to it. But now, with Floyd Shivambu seemingly politically homeless, rejected by the ANC, discarded by the MK party, and a shadow of his former EFF stature, we ask, is this the political fall of Floyd Shivambu? What does this mean for factional politics and the growing divide in the opposition? And to help us unpack all of this, we're joined by political analyst Sandile Swana. Sandile, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate you giving us your time. I want us to start with, just your broad analysis of Floyd Shivambu from the move from EFF to MK, ultimately where he finds himself in such a short space of time. One wouldn't have expected Floyd to be where he is today. It's really a marvel of some sort to watch.
Sandile, thank you so much, and good morning to the listeners of Salam Media. Sandile, if we're to be sincere and direct about this issue, if you go back to the conflict between the ANC, NEC, and the Youth League, more especially under the presidency of Zuma around 2012, 2011, those days, and Cyril Ramaphosa as deputy president, there was a clear conflict, and the faces of that conflict, on the one side was Cyril Ramaphosa and Zuma, on the other side it was Sandile Swana, Julius Malema, and Floyd Shivambu. Those people were put through a disciplinary process. Mm-hmm. Now, the conflict was ideological conflict, something that is very rare in the ANC. Conflicts that happen in the ANC about tenders and positions. For the first time, those three young men sparked an ideological conflict in the ANC that had not happened in a very, very long time. For instance, say since the time of Sobukwe. So Floyd would have been extraordinarily naive to think that out of the blue, he now has ideological compatibility with Jacob Zuma. And Jacob Zuma was front and center in fighting the ideological fight against the Youth League of the ANC, which was then basically disbanded, and put in the refrigerator for a very long time. This Colin Malachi is a new phenomenon. After the ANC Youth League had been put in the refrigerator for a long time. So, number one, where Floyd is today, he is in the wilderness, but he is in the meat mincing machine of Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma wanted to finish the nonsense of these young men. Sandile Swana is no longer alive because he continued inside the ANC to fight what he thought was wrong, and they shot him dead. There is Floyd running after Jacob Zuma, attaching himself to Jacob Zuma, and Jacob Zuma shoves him straight into the mincemeat machine. He's now becoming mincemeat, political mincemeat.
I think that's a really, really good comparison to use there. And I want to stick on Jacob Zuma and that public rebuke of Floyd Shivambu at that MK rally. It was unusually direct. Do you think it was a political strategy to reinforce discipline within the MK. He mentioned that the party has had 7 secretary generals since its inception. I'm not sure why you would mention that, because it does inspire confidence. It's not something to celebrate. Or was it more personal? You mentioned the history that Floyd Shivambu has had with Jacob Zuma during his time in the ANC and also in Parliament. I remember seeing a tweet of something that Julius Malema said, and he was engaging with Floyd, and he was saying, Floyd, do you think he forgave us for pay back the money?
Yes. So you see, there are simple things. The fact that Jacob Zuma can stand up and say that there's already been 7 secretary generals is itself evidence of the long-term lack of discipline on the part of Jacob Zuma. It's not a manifestation of discipline. It's a manifestation of chaos that is embedded in the leadership, management, and political DNA of Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma and disabled structures. So if these guys are 18 months old formally or something like that, and they've had 7 secretary generals in that period, it means nobody has learned the job, mastered the job. So that job has not been done since they were formed. It has not been done because it usually will take you the first 2 years or so to master the job in any event, let alone of a brand new organization. So that job is not being done. So by destabilizing the treasury of the organization, destabilizing the chief whips, destabilizing the secretary general's office, Zuma concentrates power on himself. And let me then add this from a political perspective, that people have called this is a family stock fail. They've said all sorts of things about the MK party. But what I will tell you is that if you allow Jacob Zuma to take over South Africa itself, that chaos that we saw where DGs were missing all the time, ministers were being fired overnight, is going to flood the state again. That chaos is fully manifested in MK, and Jacob Zuma is proud of it. And Floyd could not see that he's actually diving into a shark tank of chaos, of a mind. Jacob Zuma's mind has got explosions in it, political explosions, leadership. There's no quiet there. There's no peace there.
No, definitely. I want to touch on Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu's former political home, the EFF. How would they be analyzing all of this? Do you think he's watching closely? Do you think there would be talks of a potential return to the EFF for Floyd? I know that ideas been shot down numerous times by Julius, but from an EFF's point of view, what would they be saying right now? This is one of their founding fathers. He drew up the 7 cardinal pillars, and seeing him in the proverbial dustbin of South African politics should spark some kind of response, I would like to assume.
What Floyd has done is to show lack of discipline and lack of wisdom, lack of discernment. Now, the top leadership positions in the EFF are filled by very solid, stable people. So Julius and the EFF executive will not want to destabilize that by getting mixed up with Floyd, who has demonstrated lack of discipline, who has demonstrated a lack of ability to protect the EFF, because I believe that MKP wanted to strip the EFF and weaken the EFF and absorb the EFF into the MKP, and then slaughter the leaders of the EFF and take the membership and the followership under the wing of Jacob Zuma as the supreme sole leader of that whole new entity. So Floyd cannot be trusted in terms of his ability to make political judgments and to understand the political chessboard that is in front of him. He misinterprets the political chessboard. And unfortunately, these misinterpretations have now shoved him headfirst into the mincemeat machine.
Just lastly, before I let you go, is there a political future for Floyd Shivambu outside of these major political parties? Could he maybe form his own party? We've heard those rumors doing the rounds. Some saying he could, join alliances with, former colleague from the EFF, Umbuyiseni Ndlozi. Or is this, truly the end of the road? And how much of a shame would it be? Because say what you like about Floyd Shivambu, he's a brilliant mind. He's politically educated. He's had a tremendous impact in South Africa's parliament. And should we be concerned or sad seeing what I think we can consider one of our best politicians in terms of strategy, in terms of legislation, and just the rebuttals that he had in parliament, just go through that political mincemeat that you keep on mentioning?
The reason why I mention issues of discipline and so on is that we have a few of these very bright guys. We have Mngxitama. Mngxitama, I hope by now he has accepted that he's not a political leader. At best, he is a chap who can produce a paper or some form of thought leadership from time to time. He cannot be in the forefront of mobilizing and leading in the trenches. Ndlozi is now providing thought leadership. He's also a very bright guy. And Ndlozi admitted that they themselves had assessed that the best leader in their generation was Julius Malema. Julius Malema knows how to step into the ring and move to the center of the ring and trade punches. Floyd has clearly shown that he doesn't have that. And worst of all, he has got ambitions that exceed his abilities, and that has made him vulnerable. So now you see in the articles that you are quoting from about Malachi that is now talking to the unions. Maybe he can get a research type positions in the unions and be a thought leader in the union movement and so on and so forth. But to be able to build a constituency, I don't think he should even try that. I don't think he's got those skills, and he shouldn't even fiddle with that.
Yeah, I think we're going to leave on that note. That was Sandile Swana, political and governance analyst. Always a pleasure chatting to you, and I hope we do it again soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There you go. That wraps up our conversation with political analyst Sandile Swana, helping us unpack the dramatic political fall of Floyd Shivambu, once a rising force, now rejected by the very movements that shaped his career. But the big question remains, where to from here for Floyd? Has he reached the end of the political road, or could we see him stage a comeback in true South African style? Start his own political party. I mean, 2026 local government elections are around the corner. There's still people, that follow him religiously as an individual. He's one of, the best minds. I mean, if you look at his time during, Parliament with the EFF, I mean, it goes without saying he is a brilliant mind. But as Sandile Swana mentions there, the issues of discipline always playing a factor. He's one of many that we've seen come and go, as brilliant as they are, but can't really, be disciplined and be a good standing member within whatever movement that they find themselves in. And yeah, and to you, our listeners, what do you think? Should Floyd Shivambu start his own political party? Maybe rope in Mngxitama Ndlozi also, who's a political orphan, doesn't have a political party that he's aligned with at the moment. Would that gain any real support, or has political capital already run dry? Those two are in the proverbial dustbin of South Africa's political landscape. You can WhatsApp us, you can tweet us, or send us a voice note. You can WhatsApp us on our studio line is 061 766 0355. You can send us a voice note. Would you vote for a Floyd Shivambu and Mngxitama Ndlozi-led political party? Or maybe he should just call it quits. He's done what he could. He made some bad chess moves. Moving to the MK was the worst of it all. And it has come to bite him in the behind. What are your thoughts? 0617660355 on our various social media pages. You can search at Salam Media, and we can keep the conversation going. We're going to take a quick break for now. News and Views continues after this.